Okay, ladies and gentlemen, are we live? Um, First thing I'm going to say is that, wow, it's Saturday night and we're all here to study. Isn't that lovely? That is so fucking sad. I do not even have words for it, but it is what it is. So, I'm actually playing a mobile game right now. Why? Because I can. Also because I'm weird. And I really shouldn't be, but I will. For a good reason. For a good cause, of course. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our advertising done. Before we even get that far. Oh man, did they kill my mage? Damn, they killed my mage. Okay, it's Saturday, so I'm a bit more relaxed than usual. Okay, you gotta forgive that. Just a bit of laxity. Just a bit. I swear, just a tiny bit. Ugh. Damn, they really killed my mage. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna advertise this on the Discord channel. So basically today's show format is that I'm going to be teaching Sakurai a little bit, and then we're actually going to get into my own personal revision. So come join my study live stream. I will give you tips and you can watch a real Asian studying. Yeah, I'm serious. This is my entire sales pitch. Zoe, if you haven't seen this hat, then you really haven't been keeping up with my shows or even watching them on YouTube. This is actually my own traditional Nepalese hat. And you really should know that I've been wearing this for a number of my shows. If you do not know what this hat is, then I'm very disappointed in you, Zoe. You haven't been catching up with my stuff. Okay. Okay, it's on Twitter as well. I'm gonna belt out, share my stream kind of dealio. Sharing out my stream. Okay, good. I guess the last one to call is Melly. Well, you can catch up when you want, Zoe. But yes, this is my traditional Nepalese hat. Now, the first thing I did say that we're going to do on this session is I'm actually going to call Sakurai right now on Discord, and we're going to go through some of her economic stuff. Now, Sakurai is at university. I am doing professional exams. I'm way past university, but we're going to see if we can help her out. So, caller, are you ready? Here we go. Sakurai, please answer. Hello, Sakurai.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, okay, I could barely hear you. Just give me a second. Okay.
Sorry.
You may want to speak a bit louder so the viewers can actually hear you, or you may want to up your volume on your side. Yep.
Better, or hold on, let me see if I can.
There is no C. It must be done. How dare you?
Fine, I'll see what I can do. Goodness.
How you dare waste my time. Yes, how you dare. No, you cannot hear just fine, Zoe. I am Lord here and I will decide.
Yeah, you can? Oh, okay, that's good. If Zoe can hear, that means the viewers can hear.
How dare you follow Zoe? I am Lord here.
I never said I was following her. I just said I'm agreeing with her.
How dare you? I am Lord. Okay. Now, let's actually go through your stuff. So why don't you tell us what exactly it is you need help with, and then I can lazily play my mobile game while assisting you.
Okay, so I was supposed to write an essay for Japanese political economy between the 1940s and 1980s.
Between the
and I
1940s
was
and the
supposed to,
1980s, do you know what the period that was for Japan?
yeah, occupation,
No, you
post-war,
fucking fool.
bubbles, push, bubble
No,
economy and
no,
whatever.
child.
What?
That period in time was actually marked by a lot of the Zaibatsus and later on the Keiretsus that came up. Yes, you're right, because of the
Oh yeah,
post-war period, but it
yeah,
was a very, very
yeah. They,
important and successful part in Japanese history, I would suppose.
yeah,
So, so yeah, that's
yeah.
that's the big thing there. Okay, cool.
No, that is true. Yeah, I was supposed to explain the characteristics of it all. Basically, what I had done. I think it's the content, Zoe, because my teacher. Well, it's not necessarily the content, but she said that what I wrote were good points. It's just that she thought that there wasn't enough introductory stuff. But the thing is, it's a
Well,
1,000 word essay, and
why
to
don't
cram the
you?
entire
No, 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 no.
history.
Why don't you show me the essay first, and then we'll send the essay to me on
Oh,
Discord, and we'll have a look, and we'll see where we can go with that.
okay.
And Zoe, silence! I am running this. You shall be quiet. Thou shalt
No,
not
Zoe, if you've
speak.
got any suggestions, throw them at me. It's
No,
all good. Don't listen to this
thy
guy.
duty is to be silent and to serve. I am Lord here. Now, give me your essay, child.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes. Uh, Japan. You see, I didn't really understand what she meant by explain because I tried to do my best to, make a sort of timeline for it, but apparently there weren't enough arguments that I made, enough, what was it again? Analysis, she also mentioned for some reason. So I'm a bit confused as to what it is she actually wanted from me. The only thing she did was throw the essay question at us and was just like, here you go, good luck.
Right. Well, we shall see what we can do.
Thank you.
Did you tell her that death walks among you?
No, not really.
Why did you not
Was
say
I
that?
meant
It
to?
is my favorite phrase and it is the most important thing you must tell teachers. Death walks among
Okay.
you. Also, I'm the emo kid and I'll probably shoot up the school. Then they'll really get scared.
Although, yeah, I'm sure they will.
That's
I
good
think
for
the
them.
main reason why it isn't the way she wanted it to be, I also had two other essays to write at that time, so I couldn't focus on everything at once. But the question itself was really vague.
Okay, let's see. Could you present to us? Okay, what is the question? Introduction to Japan's political economy. What was the question? You got to give me the question.
That the title is the
The
question.
the header there, right? Explaining the characteristics
Yeah.
of the Japanese political economy between 1940s and 1980s. Okay.
Yes.
So now we're going to read Sakurai's essay live, and then we're gonna go through it.
Oh dear, here we go. I don't. You
Shush,
have
my
to read
child.
it.
Shush. You are to obey.
You have to read my horrible.
Read.
You have to read.
Yes, I do.
Please
My
don't
child.
read it out loud.
Yes, child.
My writing is not the best.
You will sit and support me. Understood.
Hey, I'm all for
Why
it.
is it in
But
English?
because that is the subject. The subject is taught in English.
Huh?
Like
But you're from like
90%.
Dutch land, right? Or something.
Yeah, I know. I am studying in the Netherlands, but the weird thing about this course is that 90% of it is in English
I see.
because the Dutch language is dying.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, well,
uh,
the first thing that I want to bring up is actually what Zoe said because,
Yeah.
okay, fine. What Zoe says is actually true. Zoe, silence. But okay, thank you for making
no,
that point.
thank you, Zoe.
Silence, all of you. I am teacher here. Okay, no, what Zoe says is actually true, and what she did say
Goals.
was at the beginning of the essay, you should state your goals for the essay and what you
Yeah.
intend to discuss and examine and what you want to take from it. And at the end, you should conclude the things you spoke about at the beginning. Yes, of course, we know that, but I'm going to modify that opinion a little bit because of one thing, the word count restriction. It's 1,000 words, so
Yeah.
you really can't do a lot. So what we're going to do is
That was
we're
my
gonna
main
modify.
issue with
No,
my
no,
teacher's
no.
argument.
I get it. But what I want to say here is that you do have to follow Zoe's suggestion, but I'm gonna give you a modified example, which is why could you guys just like calm down and wait for a moment before giving your suggestions? I cannot teach if you all jump in like that, Zoe.
It's
If I
okay,
need your
Zoe.
fucking
Just
opinion,
keep
I'll ask
typing.
for it.
If Chenny doesn't like reading stuff, then he can just turn away from the screen. You just keep throwing suggestions at me. I'll try and pay attention to both.
Child, just listen. Okay. First thing you need to do, like she said, but if you're gonna modify it, so maybe what you want to do is you want to dedicate a certain word count. Maybe within 140 words. No, sorry.
Okay.
Within 100 words. Within about 100 words,
okay.
You want to open your topic and discuss your goals. So at the beginning of the essay,
Okay.
here is a sample introduction. Okay, so you will say something like this. The purpose of this essay is to explain the characteristics of the Japanese political economy between the 1940s and 1980s. I will attempt to discuss that period and focus on the breaking up of the zaibatsu and the changing aspects of legislations and governments. Okay? And at the end of the essay, I will conclude by making a few statements regarding this point. So you want to have that structure. Okay, now you're going to modify that a little bit because in that, like, I just referenced your essay without having actually read it. Okay, but you're going to actually want to take all the points in the essay right now and then condense it into that one introduction. So people know clearly what's going to be talked about. Okay?
All right.
So now we're going to go through the essay itself, and then we're going to carry on. So some of these included the breaking up of Sabatsu, changing aspects of legislation and government, liquidated assets from companies Mitsui and Mitsubishi. Okay. Okay, first of all, never use abbreviations. LDP. You only ever use an abbreviation if you've explained it. Now I'm going to show how this actually is done, and this is what I do in my actual professional reports. So so LDP could stand for, this is not what it stands for, but I'm just saying, like, if it stands for this, then what I would do is I just use that, and then from now on you can use the abbreviation. Okay?
Okay. Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. I'll do that then.
Yeah, so with all your abbreviations, please do this. And it's also made for, like, up here, United States. So okay, so you want to do this kind of thing after World War II.
Easier to say back after writing rather than limit what you write. Yeah, that's what I tried to do, but then after having written it, I realized that I was short on time, so I couldn't cut it back even more. So, but I'll do that because this was only a soft deadlines. Okay.
Yeah. So coming back to that point,
right.
I've just had time to modify the document, so this is what it should look like. Okay, moving on. I actually want to. So if you could actually stay silent, and this is not because I don't want your suggestions. Actually, because what I want, my plan is to get through the essay, and then no. Even if they're obvious, you always go through all of them. But what I want to do is I want to actually get through her whole essay first before we start making comments, because it's hard to teach when it's on the fly. I've been a tutor before, so I like to have a very systematic approach. So Zoe, if you wouldn't mind, this is a serious warning. Could you let me finish before we go through it and give suggestions? Thank you. Okay. After World War II, the United States, blah, blah, made a duty to demilitarize and democratize Japan. During the rule, a couple of changes were brought. Okay, so this is actually an introduction paragraph, but if you could, like, do it in the format that I mentioned before, and then sort of add that these are the points that you're going to be talking about, that'd be great. So, Okay, so, like, you don't want to elaborate on how they did it, but just focus on that goal of demilitarization and democratization. Okay, that'll be great.
Okay.
So, so during the occupation, the U.S. priorities for occupying Japan changed from to lowering the influence of communism in Asia as a whole. Let's work down. Hey Melly, welcome. Just give me a second to finish reading this essay. This is an economics course, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently it's political economy, but that's not what the title...
Okay, no. If you're going to go into economics, right, from personal experience, you don't want to do this. The reason is like you're saying they granted the industry's tax breaks, budget subsidies, great. But what I want you to do is actually to explain economic effects of those things.
Okay.
So when you say these granted some industries tax breaks, for example, this granted, like I'm just throwing off the top of my head, this is not actual content that you should be using. I want you to do the research yourself, but just to show you an example of how I do it, I'd say something like this granted the steel industry a tax break in the form of subsidized cost of production, so that once the steel was actually produced, it could be sold for higher profits, therefore also creating jobs within that industry, as the steel industry would be set on an expansionary path, upping employment and therefore boosting the economic performance of Japan. So something like that, if you can state something economical, you don't actually have to like list off all the factors. Like you can, but give a solid example. I'll always like to have an example because it proves that you know your economics. It proves that you know what you're talking about. How did this help the economy? Did it create more jobs?
Okay.
Did it actually boost the economy? Were they able to export more? Were they able to import more? That kind of thing. Okay,
so the process rather than what they did.
Yeah, because if you just ramble off on what they did, the reader doesn't know. You gotta assume, yes, the reader is the teacher, but you gotta assume that the reader is someone who is not the teacher. Why? Because when a teacher reads stuff, and nowadays when I read economic reports, economic essays, okay, I do not have the economic knowledge off the top of my head. Recently, I was doing a report at work on the pulp and paper industry. So when I read the report done by Hermes Ulades or something like that, it's a French company or European company, I don't know. But they did a fantastic overview where they actually like went into the economics of it. For example, they said that the paper industry was weakening because digitalization was reducing demand for print media. However, value-added services such as tissue paper and packaging products in terms of paper were on an expansionary path, and that actually is going to contribute to growth. Now, the growth in the industry is going to be small, but it's still going to grow because paper is now moving from printing paper toward these value-added services like packaging, things like that. So I found that to be really interesting because they were actually speaking on the economic consequences of what was going on. They were saying that, firms have to actually transition over to these value-added services, but it's going to incur a lot of capital costs because this particular industry has a tiny profit margin, but a very high capital cost when it comes to the machinery required to create the paper pulp, when it comes to the all the machines needed to create specialized packaging products. It's not like a paper bag is just a paper bag. There's actually a lot of work that goes into it. Like, how do you seal off the ends to ensure that your product doesn't spill? How do you make it easy for it to go into packing machines at the customer's end? Because they've got to actually fill it with products and such. So yeah, that was big for them. And when I read that essay, I found that to be very helpful. Okay, so that being said, all these politics lead to a restriction on resources being used at full potential. You want to avoid small mistakes, so which
Yeah, no, I'll go through. I'll
might
go
have
through
been
it after.
why there was a delay in Japan's economic recovery as well as a slowdown. Now, you don't want to say which might have been why.
I didn't.
Everything
Yeah.
is factual in economics. You say,
Yeah.
these policies led to a restriction on resources, but why? Why did they lead to a restriction? What policies? Okay, so
Okay.
you're talking about these policies before. Give clear examples and use the same example to follow through all the way to the end. So if you talk about one particular tax break, then on the next level you say, how did this tax break affect resource use? How did this particular tax break delay economic recovery? So you want to see that flow throughout the essay, because otherwise it seems like I don't know what you're talking about. If I was evaluating this essay, I would say, I don't know what you're talking about. F. I'm a very harsh grader for economics.
I noticed.
During the military rule in Japan, union events were banned.
Yeah, I think
what does this have to do with
because of the
anything?
sheer amount of information that was given, there were the what's called the lessons that we were given. We went into a lot of different topics, also on employment and whatever. And I wanted to, cover all the bases, but I think maybe it was spread a bit too thinly.
Yeah, I think so, because what I prefer to see is focus, because it's only 1,000 words, rather than covering everything on a shallow level. Focus in depth on something, and even if you don't cover everything, it looks like a more meaty essay when you focus down in depth on something. So this during military rule thing, does it have anything to do with the economics of the time? Did this law have any economic consequences at the time? Do you need to mention it? If not, cut it out. After this, during U.S. occupation, there were laws implemented. There are laws, several laws implemented. The labor union law, okay, yeah, these laws were implemented, but what were the economic consequences? So you can say there were several laws implemented. One example would be the labor union law, and then you can go in depth on that one and ignore the rest, because you're just giving me, you're listing off points, but I'm not seeing the essay. Okay?
Yeah.
Long-term employment contracts made a return. Lessen the blow of any financial difficulties. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing a pattern here. The major problem is that you're using fluff words, and economists hate these.
Yeah.
Because politicians use them when they don't understand economics. Financial difficulties. What financial difficulties? Just give one example. Like, it lessened the blow of, I don't know, the inability of the common man to afford staples. You gotta give a real example. Don't give me fluff. Your essay is fluff. Like, if a teacher sees this, they're gonna think you're bullshitting, and I know you're not, but it's how it would feel,
Okay.
So yeah. In the 50s and 70s, Japan saw a GDP rise of around 10% per year due to the rise in productivity, which led to increased profit share and therefore increased investment and mass consumption.
It's funny how in this essay you're telling me not to fluff, but that is the only way I managed to get to the word limit before, by actually fluffing about and just...
Yeah, that's why you can't do that at uni. Like, a lot of people think that you can get through life with fluff. You can't. You're gonna do something well, right? You can't half-ass it. Don't half-ass two things. Whole-ass one thing. And you gotta whole-ass this entire essay. So the best way to do that is, like I said, go in depth, give an example. If you're saying that you had to fluff to hit the word limit, it means you're not using your words efficiently. You're economically inefficient, and you're not maintaining your comparative advantage here.
All right. No, that's fine.
Okay. It's between 50s and 70s. Okay, yeah, around 10% per year due to the rise in productivity.
No, that was in college, Zoe. that I had to fluff to get to the word limit, because I would write to the point so much that it would be less words than what they ask for.
Okay. Yeah, no. Like she said, yeah, that's definitely correct. I did
No,
say. No, I think
now I have
because
to
there's.
unlearn it again. That's the thing.
Well. Yeah. Like I said, like you can show me a revised essay and we can go through that. But the point being is I'm just seeing waffle and I'm seeing no substance to what you're rising. See here,
Yeah, okay.
saw GDP rise around 10% per year due to rise in productivity. What caused this? What caused this?
Yeah.
I don't know. Then so this is all unnecessary. Cut all this out. Just tell me what caused that productivity rise. Why were they doing it? Was it cultural? Was it a cultural sin?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not actually gonna send her any of this. It's gonna be up to her to do it. I'm literally just giving points. I'm not actually gonna send her this essay. I'm just showing an example.
No,
of that.
I'll what's it called? I have to revise it anyway. Just that my teacher's comments were really vague. And I wanted to know how to make it better.
Okay. Sid, man. Whose focus? This part here. Whose focus was shifted? Government's focus? Was it through a fiscal budget? Did they implement certain legislation? Like I said, you know, that... So what were your teacher's comments, by the way?
All she was saying was that she was talking more about the structure of the essay rather than the content. For some reason.
I have a feeling that she probably didn't even read it, and if she had, then she would have thrown it out anyway. So first of all, yeah, your structure's totally wrong. You don't ever write an essay like this. These headings, no. I want you to write it Harvard format, which means there's no titles, nothing. You go straight into the essay, introduction, paragraph, body, conclusion. That's all I want to see. Okay, and the body, you can break it up and have multiple body paragraphs, but I want a clear introduction, clear conclusion. My suggestion is write your introduction first and then write your conclusion.
Okay.
Then write the body.
That's fine.
Okay, that's always the way I tackle lessons.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm not going to go on reading because basically we've come to the core problem of the essay.
Yeah.
And that's mainly the fact that you're giving all this information and it's basically becoming like a very shallow history lesson, which is not what economics is about.
Okay.
If you're going to be talking about economics, you got to give solid points. If you don't know what certain economic things occur, like for example, if you don't know what are the flow-on effects of a tax policy, then come and ask me and I'll be able to tell you, okay? But you've got to show that you're really doing economics. You can't get away with half-assing this one. Okay, so that's mainly what you need to do. Okay, so go work on it, and we'll come back to this on another session. Okay.
That's fine. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so we will review that again.
Yeah. No, that would be good. I'll try and do this all tomorrow.
Yep, okay, no problem.
Try and dedicate the entire day to it and then see what happens.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Okay, now we're going to move on to my own studying. Do you want to go off voice now?
I don't mind. Stick around? Whatever. I can stick around if you want me to. Then again, you'll probably want to focus on whatever it is you're doing.
Well, I will be, but I mean, you can stick around. I don't really care. Okay, so you guys looking at this? Yeah, you can. Sorry. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is revise. Revision is something that many people do not focus on. Surprisingly, they learn something and never look back at it. Then only when the exam's coming up, then you look back at it. It's not the way to do things. Okay, so we're gonna actually go now. This session, what it's all about is me actually revising everything that I've learned and all the details that I have mastered from the textbook. So, first of all, outlining the nature and purpose of financial management. Financial management is about getting the right financial data to make decisions regarding your capital budgeting, your working capital, and how you're going to finance your investment projects. Basically, what to invest in, how you're going to finance that, is that going to benefit your stakeholders, and who ultimately gains from all this. That's what the financial management function in a corporation is. Basically, how are you adding value? How are you maximizing the value of stock for your shareholders, for your stakeholders, and of course, the nature, how you're going to budget for all your investment projects. Let me just check my chat. Okay, so state the scope of financial management and identify its functions. Actually, that was kind of covered in the first point as well. Financial management is basically, how am I going to finance my investment projects? Who's going to benefit from this? And therefore, I have to know all the tools that are at my disposal. Can I borrow from equity markets? Can I borrow from debt markets? Is my firm's stock worth something? Can I make another offering of shares to increase the capital for this investment? Should I go for an IPO? Should I raise capital through debt, which means going to a bank, finding a borrowing, finding a credit line? Am I credit worthy enough of that? Should I go for government grants? Should I go for programs like tech innovation? Actually, Singapore has a lot of government grants for that. So that is the scope of financial management, because first of all, you find a worthy product. And when I look at a project, have I got the financial data about it? Have I looked at the ratios? Have I looked at all the financial data regarding the project? Have I done my net present value calculations? Have I done any valuations on the project? Have I? Yes or no? So, financial objectives relate to corporate strategy. Well, if your financial objective is to maximize the value of stock, then your corporate strategy has to be to do this, but there can be problems. These are called management and agency problems. Agency problems are where the management wants to benefit themselves. Is your management going to Club Axis every day and clubbing? Are they spending entertainment expenses on this kind of thing instead of, benefiting the company? These are real questions that you have to ask yourself. What is the management doing, and how is their corporate strategy related to that financial objective of maximizing the value of stock? Yes, don't go bankrupt is great. Are they trying to get more market share? What is the financial objective here? Are you trying to sell your product? Are you trying to enter a new market? Yes, ultimately all of this is to increase the value of stock. But is the corporate strategy in line with this in the first place? If you're entering a new market, is the management hiring experts in that market? Is the management making contacts in that market? Does the management have any data on that market? How are they going to sell their products? Do they know what licenses they need? You'd be surprised how often management doesn't do this. Identify the different stakeholders and their impacts on corporate objectives. Well, there are multiple stakeholders. Employees, you've got shareholders, you've got the management themselves. You've got Chenny, who really just wants more salary, and you've got management that tells Chenny what to do. And then you've got the people that Chenny advises, and they want to maximize their business. So how you tie all this together, that's the different stakeholders. And this last part, I'm going to have to figure out how to waffle that shit, because I don't know. Okay, moving on.
Hold the phone. You said that economists don't like waffling, and you're going to waffle.
This is a finance course.
Oh, so, okay. So finance allows waffle.
For this particular section, I'm going to actually explain why. For example, okay, financial objective of a for-profit entity, maximizing the value of stock. A not-for-profit entity might be looking more toward, what is their objective? Is it charity? Is it some kind of research development foundation kind of thing? In which case, they're not looking to maximize profit. They're looking to maximize the value of that research. And they'll be gearing all their finances toward that. You see what I'm saying? And a statutory body might be to regulate the industry. So rather than looking for fines to make a profit, they're looking at fines and penalties to make, to align the interests of the company with the legislation. For example, TPP, transfer pricing. Right now, there isn't much of a penalty for it. So firms don't do it. They don't see the value in it, but the cost to firms is like $25,000 for one documentation.
Whoa.
That's what I'm doing right now, by the way. Now, if you're looking at that, firms could just pay a $100 penalty instead, or go to jail. But let's not talk about the jail part. You see, when there isn't enough penalty, when the financial objective here is not to collect money from the penalties, not to chase business away from Singapore, but to enforce the legislation and rulings. So that can be a financial objective for a statutory body. So that's always different. So you see, that one's a bit of waffle. Of course, I know my stuff, so I would never waffle without substance. Like, as you can see right now, I've studied this once, but I can just list it off the top of my head. That's what you got to be able to do. So I don't go for the waffle. I learn something, and I'll learn it in substance because I check everything to do with it. Like, for example, now we go into the second part. Describe the Singapore economic environment. Singapore's economic environment is actually looking more optimistic right now. Why? Japan suddenly turned around. There's a lot of growth in Asia. American markets are looking like they're turning around. There's going to be steady growth in the global economy. So that's looking good. And the tightening of labor markets in developed country is pretty good. That means unemployment's falling. That's nice. So in tandem with this rosier environment, Singapore's economy is expanded by 4%. Blah, blah, blah. Manufacturing sector, trade-related services saw some improvement. Financial services grew. Of course, that's great. Insurance industry posted a strong performance. Insurance. Business services and information and community sectors picked up. Growth is projected to remain modest from external demand conditions. Yep. Surge in demand for memory chips is always good. So everything's looking good so far. Now describe the nature and role of financial institutions and markets in Singapore. Exists to assist in the allocation of capital. Yep, that's right. Okay, so financial institutions and markets, basically, I've got savings. I want to earn an interest on my savings. I don't want to just stash money under the pillow. That's what a financial institution does. Because the financial institution then goes to the market and says, hey, I've got all this pooled up money. Can I loan it to somebody, earn the interest? I give some interest to my customers and I earn a margin. That's it in a nutshell. How simple is that? When you understand finance, you can also condense it down to really simple stuff. So, what does the Ministry of Finance do? What does the Ministry of Finance do in Singapore? Well, they are responsible for designing regulatory policies and maintaining international standards and best practices in areas such as company law, accounting standards, and corporate governance. So basically, if I need to lend money to Zoe, the Ministry of Finance will regulate this. If I need to account for Zoe being a Zoe, then the Ministry of Finance will have accounting standards for this. No, they won't really, but you get what I mean. Now, okay. Okay, the Monetary Authority of Singapore promotes sustained economic growth through appropriate monetary policy formulation and close macroeconomic surveillance of emerging trends and potential vulnerabilities. It manages Singapore's exchange rate, foreign reserves, and liquidity in the banking sector. So it's the central bank, the Reserve Bank of Singapore. It oversees all the financial institutions. So if you've got a problem with a financial institution, such as an insurance company, you complain to the MAS. They also give a strong corporate governance framework and close adherence to international accounting standards, which is great. Okay. Accounting and Corporate Regulatory Authority of Singapore. Oh yeah, I haven't done this one. I'll do that another time. So some of these little startups, I actually have the info. It's in my mail. I did it while at work. But there are a ton of grants, like the ComCare Enterprise Fund, Capability Development Grant. These are all major grants that you can actually apply for if you were a businessman in Singapore. So now we move on to risk management, but nah, because I actually have to do research on this. I'm actually going to do it while I work. I didn't have time that day, but this section, we're going to highlight it in a different color to make sure that we come back. And whoa, the highlight colors suck.
Yeah, they're very limited, the highlight colors.
Okay, cyan will do. So this will remind us that we have to come back for it. Okay, so how are we going to study all this? Well, we're going to have to crack open the textbooks and do it. But that's something I'm going to do off screen because the point of this session was mainly revision and teaching. So, welcome back, Zoe, but the session's ending now. I'm also going to talk to Zoe while studying. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here for this study session. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned a lot. Remember, you don't just want to learn something, you want to revise it, and of course you want to know your stuff in depth. When you know your stuff, it means being able to say, okay, today I'm going to talk about this right off the top of my head. And I can belt it out. When people ask me a question, and this is something my father taught me, I don't just sit there and say, oh, hey, yeah, I know economics. Then people ask me a question, I'm like, If you know something, then right now, if I ask you a question, and this is going to be your homework, Sakurai. Next time you bring your essay, I'm going to ask you to tell me in as few words as possible, in a summarized format. You're going to do it live for all these readers. I want you to tell me exactly what happened during that period. I want you to tell me all the factors off the top of your head. Just belt it out for me. I want you to tell me everything that happened. What was really going on? Were there any economic changes? Were there any legislative changes? How was the whole, economy flowing at the time? What were the major policies that sort of shaped Japan during that period? I want to hear all of this off the top of your head. Cool?
Wow. Okay. I'll try.
Do your best, because if you don't, I will pressure you until you die, Asian style.
Wow, thanks, as if I don't have enough pressure to deal with, and I have you to bug me.
Because Asians must stick together. This is my Asian study technique. This is my ogi, okay?
Asian.
This is my power as an Asian man studying.
I mean, congratulations on your superpower, but I need to enforce it on other people, okay?
No. It will be enforced. Waga kokoro wa ryu no kokoro.
Okay.
Yes, and yours is too. So you will learn to be a Shimada that can control the dragons.
Yeah, maybe. One day.
You can do it. I believe in you, and if you do not believe in yourself, then believe in the me that believes in you.
Okay.
Okay. Now go become the drill that will pierce the heavens, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.
All right. Bye.